Hello everybody, my name is Walter and this is episode 13 of my Redstone Commands Series. In this episode I want to cover a quite useful but also slightly dangerous command, the clone command. So, as always, let's start with what the command actually does. Basically, the clone command copies blocks from one cuboid area, the source area, to another cuboid area, which is the target area. This is a simple copy-paste operation, so there is no rotation option or mirroring option there, contrary to the place command or the structure block. I use the clone command quite common when I'm working with modular or repeating designs, where I just want to build one module and then copy the following modules over and over with the clone command. One thing to keep in mind here is that when you clone observers with their surroundings, they tend to get triggered, which can be a bit annoying in your circuitry because now you have pulses running through your circuitry and maybe destroying part of what you actually want to build. Another option I use it quite common is if I have built something in slightly the wrong place and I want to realign it properly, since the clone command can also be used to move the blocks. Not a simple copy paste, but a cut paste operation. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about the syntax. As always, we start with the command name, and then we have to specify the source area. This is a cuboid area defined by its two corner points. Which two corner points doesn't matter, it's just two opposing corner points, XYZ and XYZ. The game will automatically figure out what cuboid area you mean along the world axis. So you don't have to have the lowest coordinates in this first pair and the highest coordinates in the second pair. The game will automatically figure out what you mean. There is one limitation to the volume of this area, and that is around 32,000 blocks, or basically a cuboid area with a side length of 32. Of course, you can also stretch it a bit by, for example, making it 16 by 32 by 64 area. But there are limitations on how many blocks you can move at a time. The next is the specifying of the target area. And here you only need to give it one corner because the size of that area is already predefined by the source area. This corner you have to specify is the lower northeast corner. This is the corner with the lower coordinates. It's very, very, very important that you get the correct corner, or you will copy it into the wrong place and might lose hours of work. I'm talking from experience here. Very annoying if you are distracted and just get the wrong corner and, well, destroy part of your circuitry, or, well, it doesn't properly align at least. So be careful with that. This is the point where you can make the most mistakes. After that, you have to specify a filtering option. This is basically filtering down what blocks you actually want to copy over. And then you have to specify the clone mode. This specifies more in detail of how you want to move the blocks over. Is it a copy paste? Is it cut paste? Whatever. And with that out of the way, let's go through the options. Let's start with the block filters. The first block filter is replaced. This is the default option, and if you don't specify one, this is used. This one will copy all blocks from the source area to the target area. So in this case, I will copy over this cube from the previous episode, and you can see it copied the full 5 by 5 by 5 cube area over. And if I use the same command once more, you can see it does the same again. So contrary to the fill or the set block command, the replace option doesn't check whether the blocks are already in place. It completely overrides everything. Now for the second example, I replaced this cube with a hollow cube of iron blocks because the second filter option is masked. Masked copies all blocks except air blocks. Where air was before, it will keep whatever is in the target area from before. So as you can see now, I've copied this over, and just to show you, this is empty, completely empty. And if I do the same here, you see the gold blocks from the cube earlier remain as they were. And the third option is filtered, followed by a block definition or specification, which can also include block data and NBT data if you want, and if it's applicable. Basically, this is similar to before with the masked, which copied everything except air, insofar that this will only copy the specified blocks. You can use tag lists as far as I know here, but it will only copy over those, for example, all slabs or mineable X or whatever. All other blocks will not be copied over, and the target space for those other blocks will also be not affected. So in this example here, I'm copying over just the emerald blocks which form this framework of the cube over there. And you can see 44 blocks were copied over, which means that all of the space in between, which were gold, iron, and diamond blocks, was not affected. If I were to place, for example, 2 blocks in there and do the same once more, you can see this block was pretty overwritten, but the one in the middle is not affected. And that's what I mean with it will only copy over the blocks you actually define. So that's the block filters. Next, let's talk about the clone modes. The first is the normal mode. This is a straightforward copy-paste mode and the default mode. So if you don't specify it, this is used. You have already seen this in action, but what you have not seen is the fact that you can't have the source and the target area overlapping with this mode. So here I have an example where I want to copy one part of this structure here onto the other part, and in a way that the two areas overlap. And you can see I can't do this. All I get is an error message. I will show you an option that will allow you to do that in a moment. The second option or mode is the move mode. This is a cut paste basically. So it moves the blocks over and leaves air behind. Again, same operation as before. And now you can see I've moved the bottom half plus middle up into the top half plus middle. So we had an overlap in the middle, and you can see the move operation doesn't worry about source and target area overlapping. And then finally we have the force mode. This is basically the same as the normal mode, but without the check whether the source and the target area are the same or overlapping. So this time I'm copying the left part plus middle, the right part plus middle to the left. And you can see here in this middle column, everything overlapped, and now we have this strange pattern again. So with the force, you can override the check whether source and target area are overlapping. Again, be very careful when you use this option, because now you don't even get the feedback when you are working with the wrong corner in your target area. So very, very careful with that. And well, with that, we have reached the end of this episode about the clone command. I hope you enjoyed it, and well, see ya.